Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to our GETI live sessions, another episode on this forum of Global Education and Training Institute. I'm your host, Preena Arora, and as you all know, the GETI Live Talk Forum is an initiative by GETI, that is Global Education and Training Institute, under our mentor, Dr. Sunita Gandhi, with a vision to transform education by sharing ideas for change. And we are committed to teachers' training and professional development. Well, we call upon leaders, education leaders from around the globe under this unique global movement that is the hashtag Disruptive Education Movement. And so today we have with us Mr. Sriraman, who is the School Development Educational Advisor in Cambridge Assessment International Education and Cambridge International Center in Chennai. Well, he is around 26 plus years of experience in IB, CBSE, K-12 schools in the top management level. And he has implemented the education strategy. He has developed for school and provide operational leadership in order to achieve or exceed the school's business objectives aligned with the group's vision, mission, and core values. Well, Mr. Sriraman is a passionate teacher, a mentor, and brings in a decade of experience in education. Apart from this, he has also worked across higher and primary education, online learning, technology and education in the fields of simulation and gamified learning. And he also conducts corporate workshops, and he has been very active in student mentoring and providing them various career pathways to higher education. A very warm welcome to you, sir, on this forum. And today he is going to talk on the childhood care and education. So, without taking much time, I would request sir to please take over the session.
So very good morning to everybody over here. And I welcome all the participants on behalf of the management. I thank the dignitaries who have given me an opportunity to have a selection of a look to present my topic under the child care and education. So when we talk about the child care and education, that's just it's an introduction for every human being who starts with a career right from the schooling. So when we say a child is born, when we experience a child is born for a parent, for a father or a mother, we look upon the physical care, the health care, the hygienic care, the emotional care, cognitive care, and intellectual care, and I could say that it is a overall educational care which has been taken to provide the right path and right channel for the human being who has been grown, who has been brought to this world, who has been just fertilized as a human being to take care of the development, the growth, the enrichment, the enlightenment connected to the overall development of a child basically starts from the schooling. So when we call upon a child who is born with a basic talent, skill, and all the capacities, the efficiency, the effectiveness, we see a child who has a better principle, a naturalistic principle, which has to be identified by the parent basically. Because when we say a child is born, when we see a child is born to the new era of this world, it has its own inceptions of the signs and conventional signs and symbols, which has been denotified by itself, herself or himself, and to reflect upon with the parent, where the parent will be in a position to identify what would be the specific conventional signs, conventional symbols where a baby child will be able to identify through his ideas or through her ideas, thoughts, views, emotional feelings, and again back upon with the signs and symbols to identify the needs, perceptions, the demands, and the requirements. So, having brought to this mind, we have basic principles of the child development. The principles of child development, which has its growth, capacity, the development of any child who is born in this world. So, when a child is born in this world, again we say we try to identify the talent and the skill which has been benefited with the nature, the naturalistic symbol, the naturalistic care, and also the overall the expectations of the child, where the child is be able to match the parent and also the expectations, the needs, requirements, and demands. So, right from the scratch level, the basic requirement of the child as a principle, when the child grows right from 3 months or 6 months or 9 months or 12 months, after 12 months, what would happen is it has a strategical level of the reception or the perceptions to view the world in a very new symbolic way of attention. So it's a very new way of symbolic attention when we call upon the growth starts at the scratch level. So when the growth starts at the scratch level, we see the development of the child henceforth from the first year of the stage and to the next year, we can say this 1.25 years or 1.5 years of the child. Again, perceptually, we have the growth. The growth insists on the organs which connected to the baby, which is inside the body, and also how it is going to have an intellectual capacity of the perceptions in terms of the development of identification, identifying the father, identifying the mother, identification of the people who are very strange, and identification of the members in the family as and when it reflects upon the development which is inclined perceptually with the growth. So this happens normally for a normal child right from age 1.25 to 1.6 and also 1.75 and also 2 years, and henceforth with the 2 plus. When the child attains 2 years of age, we start to think about the development, the basic development which to be identified to carry, as I said, for the physical care, hygienic care, health care, emotional care, perceptual care, and overall the cognitive care connected to the educational criteria. So this educational criteria, as and when the development is concerned, again, we reflect upon how much is the health condition or the hygienic condition is being taken physically of the child, and what is the stage of the child, which the child or where the child or when the child will take the intake of the food connected to the growth. So when we call the growth, it is totally directly proportional to the development, and we take the development, it is again directly proportional to growth. So it is on the mutual criteria, the growth and development takes place simultaneously, and thus returns of the child with reference to the schooling right from the scratch level. The schooling level takes place in normal case for a child 2 plus or 3 plus, whichever the case, where the mental development, the cognitive development, the physical, we start with the linguistic development. So as I said, it's like a intuition with the demands, needs, and requirements of the child. When a child will be able to perceive the idea of the demand and the requirement for anything which the child wants, it directly automatically transforms the message in terms of the speech transmission, and thus the speech transmission is of with the conventional signs and symbols, where the parent will be able to slowly understand the child, understand the language of the child, the linguistic growth of the child, the linguistic development of the child. So when we focus on the linguistic development, the parent expects the child to speak in a one letter with one word. That is, I'm talking about the age which they can go ahead with a 2 plus or a 3 plus. So it happens. Normally, it happens for any parent or any child with a normal growth, with a normal development, focused on what is the requirement of the child. Because the parent should be able to identify the basic growth, the basic development, and what is the need and requirement of the child connected to the health and hygienic factor of the child. Profusely, this health and hygienic factor connected to the medical influences where the child undergoes with the growth. And it is nothing but the overall the child care, the self care, the hygienic care, the personal attention, how far the mother pays, how far the mother is very attentive to the child, because it is very inclined. Anybody he can neglect, but he cannot or she cannot, the child cannot neglect the mother, basically, because it is only the mutual concern of the child between the child and the mother. So again, the linguistic transformation in terms of signs and symbols connected to the child is being identified by the mother in the first step. Then ultimately, the mother understands the signs, the symbols, and go back to the second stage where the need and requirement, and the child mother will be able to study the child, understand the child, perceive the child, intervene the child, to have to go ahead to satisfy the basic needs and requirements what the child wants and the child needs. So it is again reflecting on the health care situation of the child, provided the growth is attained in terms of the health and hygienic factor is utmost concerned factor for the child. It goes with the proper development, as I said, with 2.5 months to 5 months or 6 months, and from 6 months to 9 months, and 9 months to 1 year. So this is, I'm talking about after born. The child is after born, and with 1 plus years, and again with be connected with the 1.25 years. It is with the respective of the consecutive of the 3 months, which is gap, which is provided for the growth profusely for a child to attain the growth and reflect upon with the development. So a mother wants a child to have a focus of attention to be ready for the school. Immediately, she will respond, the mother will respond immediately to the father, how far the growth is being attained and how far the mental development is being attained for a child to get prepared for the schooling. So we say when the child is not that much very highly cared in terms of the age of 2 plus, again the focus of attention which goes with the crèche. That is a physical care being taken from the hostel of the child, child care center, a baby care center, where a child is being taken care and being educated. So this scenario is being happens to the parents, where the parent, both the parent are being working parent. Normally, we see both the parents nowadays, because of the want of the child, the demand, the other side, the one side, the other side, both are both professionals. So to balance these situation, they admit the child immediately to the crèche for a want of need of the physical care or hygienic care or emotional care or educational care, the overall educational care, which is being taken from after 2 plus years of age. And as far as the health and hygienic factor is concerned, we have the different care channels which has been taken care for Anganwadis, Balwadis, integrated child development centers, which is at the nook and corner of India, and that has been assisted, monitored by the central agency. So we have the Balwadis, Anganwadis as a crèche center for a child who has been taken care physically. At most and almost the medical care has also been provided. But we see normally in Indian scenario, especially for the professionals who are the working parents, the care is being taken, but the binding of the force of the parent, especially the motherly look of the child is entirely different, will be entirely different, and the expectations also will be at most uncountable. Now, I'm talking about very specific about the affectional care, the emotional care, the cognitive care, a sensitized care which has been taken by mother, because it is very true fact in India, especially Southeast Asian countries. We have the scenario where a child expects a love and affection, a care must be taken by mother because it is an inborn by the child from the child. It has been incarnated from the mother's womb. So this is very specific attention. Every child has been very attentive, provided the emotional, supportive care is being benefited by the mother. Certainly the child will have a further development connected to the educational care and educational needs and requirements. If the emotional binding is being supported by the parent, especially by the mother, the care of the mother, the personal care of the mother, the emotional care, the cognitive care, the situational care, the contextual care, the child will be able to do better than uh, in Anganwadis or Balwadis. So this is a personal care, but due to the unavoidable situations, unavoidable circumstances, the parents actually there is no other go to make the child to retain in riches, the Balwadis and Anganwadis. And we have the supportive evidence for the protective care, which is under the Indian Government Act, which is under the Article 36, Article 24, Article 20C, 24C, and we have the further Article 47, 46. These are the supportive evidences where and how the personal hygienic care is being taken by the child, and what is the main criteria or the division or the channel being attained by the central government agency to see the support of the child, the support of the mother, especially the mother who are under the lactating period. So during the lactating period, how far this health and healthcare centers are being functioning, how these personal hygienic is being taken place, and how these personal attention of hygienic condition is being provided by the mother to the mother by the central agencies through the healthcare centers, district healthcare centers, state healthcare centers, and central healthcare centers. And we have a prominent healthcare centers that we call the Anganwadis and Balwadis in villages. And that also being taken care where we have the staff who's working under the Balwadis and Anganwadis who do promote their visits, periodical visits to health visits, to every house visits, door to door steps visits for the care which is being taken for the mom and mother and also for the child. And this is a nutritional value, nutritional, I mean, the support, the hygienic support, the nutritional, what is the food which the mother, the lactating mother has to take place? I mean, the lactating mother has to conceive during the time of lactating period. And what is influence that influences the growth of the child after or before or during the time of 3 plus, because we say the growth prominently works out with the hygienic condition, the health condition, the food we take, the balanced diet, the amount of the food which is taken, intake of the food, the amount we take, the lactating mother they take, that reflects upon the influence the growth of the child between 3 plus and 5 upwards. So this is more specific and prominent, especially in urban regions. But we see the under the other categories of the lactating mother or the child who has been born or the child who is between 2 plus or a 3 plus or a 5. How this health and hygienic is being taken place in the at most rural villages. So the government has also taken initiatives, a lot of initiatives to see the care is taken in terms of the sanitary works which is applicable, and how it has been eradicated through the Protection Act. So this has been the Protection Act being again envisaged with Article 24C, which is more prominent for any mother or any child to excel furthermore in future days of the growth and development of the child. And the second stage, now we are discussing about the growth development and also health and hygienic factors, and what is a Protection Act and what is a legislative act connected to the child. And beyond this, we have the further utmost care to be taken from the family members of the mother, family members, the supportive members, uh, who has been delivered with the utmost care and concern at the contextual situation. It happens normally in Indian scenario or in especially in African countries. In almost in Ethiopian and the other countries connected to Africa, the child is left behind, and no care, personal physical care is being taken, and it is very pathetic situation. See that these abnormalities have been eradicated through the care and concern of the child, the Protection Act, or the nutritive value, or what is a health condition. So every country is being gifted with a lot of natural resources, especially the child resources, the most prominent resource of all the resources. So if they could consider that the child resource is the most prominent resource of all the resources, certainly the government will take the Legislative Protection Act connected to the child who has been taken utmost health and hygienic care, inclusive of the physical care. And the third stage, where the child goes from 3 plus to 5. So he'll be put under the Balwadis or Anganwadis in village centers. And in the urban centers, we have focused on, uh, we have the crèche facilities. But ultimately, the normal development of the child, starting from linguistic, social, emotional, cognitive, intellectual, so all these factors connected to the education scenario is being started to develop right from 3 plus to 5. So when the child growth is being attained from 3 plus to 5, the child will be more fidgetive, energetic, and also a lot of utmost care to be taken. That would be the demand by the child from the mother. So when the mother is taking utmost care, certainly there will be a path for the child to have a glorified future in terms of the attainment of the development, which see as of now as an overall development of the child. So I could say that the overall development content with the areas of development, linguistic, emotional, social, cognitive, intellectual, and what are the other areas which we see like we have a spatial, intellectual, cognitive domain, a spatial, intellectual, cognitive domain with reference to the growth, and again with the development of the right hemisphere and left hemisphere of the brain, the growth of the child. So all the connectivities concerned with the right hemisphere, we have the talent, the ability, the creativeness, the innovation. All these reflects upon the left brain of the hemisphere, where sensitive training, the utmost memory training, memory skills are being taken from the right brain. So corpus callosum is the one which divides the hemispheres into two. Medically, which we have an inclination with the parcel of the right and left hemisphere. And this is a basic hemispheres which controls the multiple intelligences of the development of the overall development of the child. The multiple intelligences of the overall development of the child basically with the signs and symbols, the conventional signs and symbols which has been attained, used by the child specifically to gather the information of the new world, to gather the information of the mother, and how these being incorporated have a bridge between the mother and the child. So that what the child will be trying to focus to have a transmission of the conventional signs and symbols with the speech, and this will be taken care by the mother, and the mother will understand what is the need, what is the demand, what is the development that the child has to have. And immediately the intellectual curiosity of the mother rises up, and she'll be able to identify and initially, right from the scratch level, what is a basic talent, what is a basic skill, and how these skills and talent will be applied, be practiced in terms of the application. So they'll be starting to see the right school, the right place, the right center for the child to enrich in terms of the child development. And when we say this child development, it is very unique. Every child is unique. Every child has its own talent. Every child has its own skill, and how these skills are being applied. Because we see normally as a mother, as a father, will be have a miss to see the basic skill and talent of the child, where I request the parents specifically um, to focus much on to identify the skill and talent of the child, and in which area of Montessori method of learning or Froebel's method of learning the child will be more focused, and how the child will attain, in which area the child is going to enrich the talents, enrich the skills in terms of the application henceforth, to see to match the expectations of the parents' demands and requirements. Normally in Indian society, a child emerges. As I said, it is a newborn child for the new world, and coming with a lot of skills and talents with the convection science intervals. And we have a better study of the child in Indian emerging society. When a child is taken care with a society, a community, a set of parents, a set of teachers, a set of, the parental care, we have the parent choice. It is a choice by the parent, where a child will be able to attain the skill, the basic skill, and how the skill specifically or a specialized skill, how it is going to be emerged out in the society. And again, to act upon this, the selection of the center, the selection of Anganwadis, the selection of Balwadis, the selection of teachers, the selection of methods, the selection of approaches, the selection of technicalities, the selection of the techniques behind the child should be understood, especially by the mother, so that mother will be so helpful for the teachers, where the child will be able to enshrine the capacities and capabilities in specific, provided the child is a very normal, and who can understand the languages of others, who can learn the quick symbols, connectivities, with the approaches and methods which is applied from the centers or from the schooling or from the home. Normally, basically, when the child is being emerged out in the society, the child will be able to have a cognition details connected to what would be the perception of the mother, what would be the perception of the father, and what would be the perception of the teacher, so that immediately they will come with the open-mindedness to show the talents, skills immediately for a transparency. So this is the transparency for emerging child in the Indian society is protective, is very protective, and seems to be very protective, and henceforth is very protective in terms of the personal care taken for a child by the mother, and who she decides the future in specific, and what would be the special needs for a child to be taken at most, to enshrine again back to bring out the talents and the skills of the child. And normally we see a child who's been emerged will be having a basic rights. So these are the rights, profusely a right which is a very embarking situations, the right upon act. So we have the child care centers, and we have immediate calls for 01086, where a child care call centers will be immediate for action for 24 hours, who are under the 24 by 7 working system of function. If anything happens to any child, say for example, any child who's left behind or not being taken at utmost care, or not being taken care at all, will be highly sensitized. And see that I request the society or the community to take an utmost care to see what would be the situational request or a need and requirement, and see that health and hygienic care is also taken. See that it is being reported to 1086 personal care, the child care centers. And it is very operative for any parent or any stranger with the society or a community. It is for the child, by the child, to the child. It is a rights which is taken by the child care agencies in India. And this is the child care agencies which has been operative, as I said, for 24 by 7 functioning. And it's so specific that at least a remarkable, authentic intimation can be given to those centers, see that the child is taken care. And we said about the education, as we was talking about the specific and special needs of the child and connected to the educational care. Even for a child who is in very demand of a specific need or a special care, I could say it is like an guidelines given to the society or a community. See that talk to the child as to the requirement of the child, as to the need of the child, and make the child very expressive to see that to know what is the child, what is the perception, the what is that mental perception of the child, the physical perception of the child, and how the child is being focused. Please talk to the child and see that the child is being able to be expressive in terms of the transmission which he or she carries, with the transmission of the ideas, the thoughts, the provoking thoughts, where we have an opportunity or the chance given to the child to express the views, the feelings, the emotional feelings, the sensitized feelings, the cognitive feelings, the intellectual feelings. Please talk to the child. A child is a child, because we say a child is being considered being equivalent to God and Goddess. So as long as we in Indian society we consider that it is a very factual representation of the traditional method or the traditional approaches. We say it is a Indian country is a very traditional, but might be we fail to be very attentive into those situations, like contextual situations, as long as the child is concerned. Because please be very aware of the child who has been left behind in the society, left behind in the community. I could say that, but we don't want to demarcate under the different names of the channels like orphanage or left behind or whatever it is, because we see that we create an awareness for a child agency is being taken care for child. Please report to immediately see that the rights of the child is being pertained, and at least the influences from the society and community. I really pray for those agencies who are very effective, very efficient to take care of the child uh, throughout 24 by 7, and see that the utmost care is being taken, utmost right is being exclaimed, and it has been determined. And see, we try to help the child, we try to support the child, we try to put them in the right channel, right path, and streamline them, and see that they are with a see that they are also the asset of the Indian society. So asset, they see that, we see that, we likely to see that they are also the asset of us, and certainly they will be the future generation. They'll be the future generation, future pillars of our country. And see that every child is being taken care with special needs and specific needs. And a child who's being taken care by the parent in other side, on the other side, we see a parent who is very interesting to make the child to be very attentive, get focused with the right schooling. And this is a schooling, or this is a place or the center where my child will be should be educated, and this exactly fits the child, suits the child for a proper education. And this is the scenario. Every mother is taking care of the child, every father being inclined to take care of the child. See that what is a want, what is a demand, a specific educational demand, a need to be supported for the child. And nowadays we see we have a lot of intellectual capacities among the students, and we don't see the children of 20 years back, but we see the children of next 20 years, or the 21st century skills students who are being intellectually born. I do really appreciate the parents who are given birth for the child. Really, it is quite very appreciable, and it is very quite appreciable and intellectually proven scenario nowadays after 20 years what we see under the 21st century education. And at most, but a personal, emotional and intellectual and cognitive, or whatever the areas of development connected to the content of the child, where the child will be able to understand, the child will be able to understand the mother, the child will be able to understand the father, the child will be able to understand the concept behind the education, is most important when he attains the age of 5 and 5 plus, and where the basic education is prompted with the special needs and specific needs. And this is the area where he undergoes or she undergoes a primary education. Now the child will be able to complete the pre-primary education, and henceforth, the pre-primary education what the child has attained will be able to match with the bridge of the primary education. And that is a scenario of the next stage of the child where the child undergoes the next challenges of life. And it is the challenges of life for the child, but we see a child want to have a proper education, a reliable education, and authentic education. And this is an authentic education where the education exactly fits my child, suits my child. And this would be the right taste of education for my child. It is a very excellent opportunity for any mother to have a choice of education. And that is we call as a parent's choice. So following to that, we have a structure, a structure which is under the plan, a design, plan, practice, assessment, and evaluation. So I'm talking about after the primary education. As I said, it's a conceptual education in the primary education, conceptual education, and also it is a contextual education where the child will be able to adjust with the situation, henceforth unknowingly in pre-primary, unknowingly with the primary. So I'm talking about the skills connected to the growth of the brain, the development of the brain, where the child will be able to recognize this is my teacher, will be able to recognize that she is my mom, will be able to recognize that he is the father, and will be able to recognize the outsiders, the society, the members in the society, the members in the community, and henceforth be able to categorize in the cognitive skills of the child, and ultimately immediately we'll come to know the child is going under the better education. And when we call upon the better education, it is education of right, we can say that it is at the overall development of the child. When we say it's the overall development of the child, uh, we see those characteristic skills of multiple intelligences and areas of development. And what would be the taste of the child which recognized with the skills and talents specifically, with the special needs or specific needs. So we have the helpline for the special children also in terms of the education given, and we have the helpline for the specific needs of the a child who's undergoing a lot of problems connected to the brain, like autism, mental disorders, and we have the other educational disorders connected in overall. One with the parcel of the medical disorders, the one parcel. The other one, we have the education disorders with the other parcel. How it has to be going to be bridged between, and what would be the design, what would be the practice, what would be the right place, what would be the right center for those for those education centers to get provided for those children with the special needs and specific needs. Again, we don't demarcate, especially a child who has a special needs or the specific needs, but we try to see with the specific talents and skills of the child. I could say, no child is inborn or born with no talents. It's very specific that every child has a specific skill, a specific talent. Even a child is a child of a special needs and specific needs. So I request the parents who are the utmost caretaker, hygienic taker, personal caretaker, parental care, parental choice, who has a proper inclination to see the things, because no parent will spare the child, no teacher will spare the child, but naturalistic, it is a very naturalistic, sensible, reliable, artistic view of anybody who could see. Say, for example, as a teacher will be new for a child, and a child will be new for a teacher. In that case, it is, we see how we see the things in a very different angles and different scenarios. Again, to appreciate, a sense of appreciation skills and artistic skills for a child to undergo with the naturalistic intelligences, and that has been provided for any child to sensitize, to identify by her own or by his own of a skill and talent, then ultimately by the others. So when we talk about for a special needs and specific needs, care should be taken. A center should be there. For that, the planning should be provided, and planning, not only the planning but organization also to be provided. How these organization and planning and how the design has been taken care, practice has been taken care, how the assessment has been taken and evaluation has been taken for respective types of children, kinds of children in society. So when we say the types and kinds of children, we say that special needs, special special children with special needs, special children with specific needs, specific needs with special children, specific children with specific needs. So these are the cares which is being taken, and ultimately we plan and organize accordingly. And what is the right education? What is a specific education? What is a special education can be given in terms of the protective care or legislative care, which is under the rights of the child to be provided, because every child is being determined to born to undergo the education. Every child is being born to determine to undergo the health care, specific care, special care, hygienic care, all the cares to be taken. Almost in India, we take almost all the tech. I thank the government which has been taken, the agency who's very supportive to take a Child Protection Act, and which goes with the 1986, 1968, or 1977, which different years they have been generated. We have a set of articles, a set of legislative rules and regulations which is being provided for the child under the different articles, different schemes, different years which has been propagated, how the child protection has been taken in India. So of all these scenarios, when we take about the growth development, the rights, planning and organization, the education of the young children with the special and special needs, education of the child, education of the young child and a normal child, we have a specific to general and general to specific needs and requirements. So when we say the specific to general to specific, all the general categories of any normal child under the naturalistic intelligences will determine this. But as and when from general to specific, we try to identify, normally we bifurcate in schooling like scores, gifted children, slow learners, gifted children, gifted learners. So no child, I can say no child is left behind without talent and skill to demarcate under the slow learners, because no child is told slow learners. Every child is a very quick learner. See that the the adaptive skills and adaptive skills which is required, which is practiced, which is applied to a child right from 2+ years of age of the child, so that it is very prominent to undergo its growth, undergo its development year after year, to see that the primary education is fulfilled, pre-primary education is fulfilled, primary education is fulfilled, middle school education is fulfilled, secondary schooling is fulfilled, and ultimately the senior secondary or higher secondary school with a diploma case is fulfilled. If these scenarios is not being taken, so what would be the problem and what would be the solutions for these problems? So we focus normally a child who's not been taken care with the development right from the schooling of pre-primary to primary, and from primary to middle school, and from middle school to the secondary. Utmost care has not been taken with the education scenario. Immediately, a report is being sent to the child that the child doesn't focus on the studies, but see that the child ultimately, if the child has given opportunity to excel, at least a basic opportunity, what the child is being to be accomplished, what the child has to be accomplished in terms of the care to be taken, in terms of the education, a sensitized care to be taken, that is not being very highly effective in terms of the emotional feelings of the child. See that if it has been taken care, no child is being demarcated. And again, I'll tell you, if this problem is not being encountered, is not being noticed, a child will be facing a lot of problems when he comes to grade 9, 10, ultimately, and 11 and 12. Because it is not possible for any natural being to immediately to go for a results, ultimately if the result is wanted or demanded by the school or by the teacher or by the principals. So it is very utmost care. So how the care, if it is not being taken, the growth, if it is not being taken, if it is not being sensitized properly, how it is being going to affect the child in terms of the educational scenario, where the child undergoes a lot of stress, strain, wastage, stagnation. So these areas of indemnities has to be taken care. See that the utmost eradication of these problems are being taken out. See that the solution is being provided for the child. Normally, no parent will like the negativities or the negative comments or the negative reports given by the school. But if it is not that much very highly truly recognizable, a teacher who can take a role, because here the teacher will have a role model of a second parent, where parent as a role model will have a first teachers. A teacher is a second parent and parent is a first teacher. If this is exactly matching at school and at home, ultimately it becomes a bridge for any parent and teacher, so that relationship will be maintained, understanding capacity will be more. Normally we you ask educators, the mentors, the facilitators, what would be the basic differences between a home and house? So this is normally we have two um, differentiated words in English. Home normally is made of affection, inclusive of bricks, cement, everything. But house is only the bricks and cement. So when we differentiate this particular two words, especially in terms of language, home is a definite composition of affection, love, care, proper education, treatment, relationship, etc., etc., and also inclusive of everything. But house is uh, just it's only a place or a center. We can say that it is a shelter for to uh, have a look upon with like to protect us from the natural disasters. So that is the main difference where a teacher should be able to identify. This is a because we see when we talk about to the child, when we talk to the child, or when you talk to, it's we take our utmost relationship, see that the relationship is bounded, and if we try to satisfy the personal needs, personal demands of any child, certainly the child will reflect upon, and ultimately, if not by one day, the other day, the child will be able to reflect in a very positive spirit. See that he is the person who has uplifted me like a ladder, who has been uplifted, who has given me the shoulders for upliftment, who has given me the way for upliftment, and it is nothing but who is a teacher who can do a lot of miracles in the classrooms with the support and guidance of the parents. And ultimately, coming back to the last stage, which a research is being taken, as I said, the design, practice, assessment, and evaluation. So, after having overall growth in terms of the growth of an individual child who is born right from that stage, and to complete the stage of the schooling and who enters to the next stage of the college or the university, a design of the practice of the research is being taken for analytical skills or for analysis. See that how it is very prominent for anybody if it is seen very keen, very careful way, very authentic. See that it is very reliable and acceptable for any child who is uh, very comfortable to have a process of study, very congenial atmosphere with a study atmosphere, and who is going to be independent thinkers and who is going to be the future pillars of tomorrow. So once again, I thank the members of the management of GETI who has given me the opportunity to take a word of thanks, and also I would like to uh, greet the participants who has taken a lot of more patience and tolerance to see what is the stuff that we have to give for a child who is going to be the future pillars and who is going to be the creative thinkers and independent thinkers of tomorrow. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. First of all, a big thanks. You have explained beautifully the first 6 years. First few years are critical years of human, since the development in these years is more rapid than any other stage of development. And it has been seen that the early years for brain development are so important, that we can see that early childhood care and education is actually making quite a big contribution to children's long-term development and learning by facilitating and enabling and stimulating environment in these foundation stages of lifelong learning. Yes, you talked about how we look upon the physical health, emotional health, cognitive health, intellectual care. The major development areas of the child development. Yes, with every child is that talented. You have appreciated the caretakers, the parents, how they're actually working towards the betterment of the child. A learner, we you also talked about the special education needs, like the learner with special education needs is defined variously in different documents, and over a period of time, the approach of the government has shifted from the medical model of care to more child's rights. You also mentioned about the child's rights model of accepting the diversity and making it inclusion in the early years, where we are giving equal treatment to all the children. Yes, early childhood care and education is encompasses the major elements of care, health, nutrition, play, and early learning within a protective and enabling environment. and it's an indispensable foundation for lifelong development and learning, and has a very lasting impact on early childhood development. And as you said, the aim is to facilitate optimum development of the child's full potential and lay the foundation for all round development, the holistic development, especially. And also to achieve the objectives of the child is overall talking about the overall development of the child. So I think a very informative session, very important. Like in recent years, we have recognized the importance of early childhood care and education. Sure, and you have explained pretty in detail about the same. I hope the educators, the viewers who are listening to the session, they will definitely have so much to take away from this session, as explained by Sriraman sir. So yes, thank you so much, sir. It was wonderful having you on this platform once again with another very informative session. And definitely, we will connect again with something more to talk on, something um, the need of the hour is we need to discuss about. So, we will connect very soon. So, yes, thank you so much once again on behalf of our entire team, and thank you, viewers. In case the viewers have any questions, they can post it in the comment section, and Sir will answer them accordingly as and when possible. So, you can definitely post it in the comment section. Yes, thank you so much, everyone. And also, don't forget to watch our detox on our Getty page on Facebook. The detox are an initiative by Global Dream Literacy. Don't forget to watch them. Yes, thank you, sir. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.